Hello and welcome to the latest instalment of the Rangers Women's Supporters Group podcast. Not going to ask anybody how they're doing because I already know, so we'll just get straight in. Well, actually, we've got news obviously this week of Jay leaving the club after today's fixture, Alan. A bit of a surprise, that one.
Yeah, I've been a bit of a surprise because we'd heard no whispers of it before. I don't think it's a massive surprise that if Jay had an offer to go back down south, she was going to take it and be closer to family. So I'd expect it'll be announced where she's going in the next few days, in the lead up to Christmas. It's obviously not been put out there yet, so it's not up to us to announce that. But, Jay will get a chance to go and be closer to her family. So I think all we can do is wish her all the best.
Yeah, Car, it's obviously a shock kind of halfway through the season, but she's done a fairly good job being Joe's assistant till the last couple of games. But she's got a couple of trophies in her kind of CV now, so I think when you're doing well, teams are always going to look, especially when there's quite a few needing managers as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really blame her if she gets a chance to go back down south, be close to her new wife. I say new as if she's had one before, but they're just recently married, so that's why I say that. Be closer to her family, potentially get a job down there. It's a no-brainer, really. She doesn't really have any ties to the club other than Joe bringing her in, so it makes sense for her. I'm gutted because I think she really was part of the brains behind the operation, so fair enough, recently we've not been doing so well, but last season and so on we've been all right, and she's done quite a lot for us, so fair enough. I wish her all the best, and she's fantastic to talk to anytime you get the chance to speak to her. She's got good footballing brain, knows what she's talking about, so if she's going into management herself, I've no doubt she'll do extremely well.
Yeah, and as I said, we wish her all the best, and we'll keep an eye on whatever she does next. So that brings us to today's game. We're at home for the festive fun. Santa was out, Broxy was there, and that was about as good as it got. We started with Esson, Docherty, Eddie, Hill, Devlin, Howitt, Hardy, Arnott, Cornett, McLean, and McLeary. Allen. But yeah, bizarre team again. I think Joe's tinkering too much with the teams and formations and whatnot.
Oh, definitely. When I looked at the team lineup, I was definitely concerned about what sort of shape we were going to play. And as it proved, we decided that the formation didn't even come close to working last week against Glasgow City would have worked against Hibs. So as it turned out, that was an absolute disaster of a decision. And I can't understand why we're continuing to. We're 18 months into Joe's reign and we're playing players out of position. Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, Car, it's just bizarre. The first half was pretty much similar to last week. The Lizzie and that playing really kind of narrow. The width wasn't really there again, which you would expect after it not working last week that they would kind of switch back to that, but that never happened, and then just mistakes at the back again.
Yeah, I mean, it was broken, so we should fix it instead of sticking with the broken thing they changed it to. It makes no sense to me. I mean, Lizzie's a great winger. We've got Brogan and Mia on the bench who are great wingers, and we're choosing to not play with them. It's baffling. I don't really understand. And I don't know what's happened to the defence, but they're just absolutely all over the shop. All of them. It's not just like it's one or two of them are having off days. Nobody seems to know what they're doing, but that extends further up the pitch too. Strikers can't score, midfielders don't know what they're doing, nobody can string a pass together. It's just all over the place, and I don't understand what's happened. But we should go back to the way we were playing, and hopefully that'll fix things. But we don't have time to do it now. We've got winter break.
Yeah, and obviously Vic comes back in because Jenna had a bit of a howler last week, but you think that's causing the kind of unrest in the back, as well as obviously playing players out of position, which doesn't help when they're not obviously clearly not comfortable in the positions they're being asked to. But the kind of unrest with the change of the goalkeepers a lot as they letting it kind of settle and letting players learn their positions.
Oh, absolutely. You're chopping and changing the goalkeeper every time there's a mistake, and that's not helping. We're changing the shape of the back line. Sometimes we're playing a 3 at the back, sometimes we're playing a 4. we're trying to sort of train Jody up to play right back, which is a completely alien position to Jody, and then we're changing the midfield in front of defence. Sometimes we've got somebody sitting, sometimes we've got two players a bit further forward in front of the defence. So, it's constantly tinkering and constantly changing and making it harder for players to perform. And we're always want to play out for the back. And to be fair, it's not necessarily a strength. Our goalkeepers can play out for the back. So we're putting players under pressure. And it's absolutely no good for us watching Kirsty McLean playing as an auxiliary centre-back and picking the ball up for them. It does nothing to benefit our team.
Yeah, Karen, we go in 1-0 down at half-time, but even there's mistakes in the defence, and then when they actually try and play it, nobody's moving for the ball. It's like Joe's giving them that many instructions that they're all just kind of frozen and didn't actually know which instruction to follow. It's just, I don't know what's happened. It's just bizarre.
And it's like they've all been given different instructions, and neither of them. I'm just going to move my cat because he's licking the microphone, so that's not going to sound good for everyone. It's like they've all been given different instructions and they don't correlate. So there's too many individual players trying to play the way they've been told, but it doesn't work together as a cohesive unit, which is just baffling. It's probably not what's happened, but that's what it seems like's happened because nobody knows what the other one's going to do. So they're standing right next to each other and then wanting the ball, but they're too close, so it's not going to achieve anything. Then someone does go on a run trying to create something and there's no one there to give the ball to. And Hibs were just shutting us down at every occasion, which is what they should do. And then they capitalise on our mistakes, which we haven't done enough of in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so second half we made a couple of changes. It looked like Tess was coming on before half-time, but we kind of held off and she came on at half-time for Kathy. Mia comes on for Rio. And then a wee while later, Wilco comes on for Charlie Devlin, but it never changed their fortunes much, Alan. I think we were getting forward a little bit more, but there was then more mistakes at the back and cost us another couple of goals and more goals shipped probably the last couple of games than the majority of the rest of the season.
Even for the sort of last 2 or 3 seasons, for us to concede 3 goals in back-to-back games, obviously take Champions League out the equation when you're in a totally different level of opposition, is unheard of. One of the strengths of this team over the last sort of few seasons it has been after a bad result to come back strong. We wanted a reaction after last week's performance at Petershill Park, and it was absolutely horrendous viewing today. As Carl said, they just didn't seem to know what they were doing, or how to play positions, where they should be. Lizzie was completely ineffective, same as Brogan was last week, playing on that sort of inside channel. We're not playing to players' strengths. Kathy struggled at the back, Leah struggled at the back. There's times when Leah's no following the line-up, and it's looking like Hibs players are offside to people, but, Leah's playing them on. She's too deep, there's not enough communication. We didn't hear much talking at the back, and that's killing you at the back. If you're not talking and keeping people following the line and making sure that your teammates are knowing what you're doing, then, it's not something you're used to. Not seeing a lot of communication talking at the back. We've got loud players at the back, but there just seems to be a confidence issue in the team right now. And when too many of the main players in the team are really struggling, then it's always got to have a big impact.
Yeah, Karen, the table looks pretty bleak. We're on 39 points. Glasgow City's kind of a way ahead now with 44 points after us being at the top last week. Hearts are a point behind us. Hibs have got a game in hand and they're on 36 points, so they win the game in hand. They're equal points with us. Celtic's obviously got a couple of games in hand, but they win them. They're kind of near us, so as much as it's exciting for the neutral, it's just not good enough from our point of view. We're dropping far too many points.
Yeah, I mean, to go unbeaten till December and then lose back-to-back 3-0 defeats is just criminal. It should never happen. Glasgow City could maybe argue, they're one of the top teams in the league, and while Hibs are getting there, they're not really one of the top teams yet, and we should be able to have enough to beat them. But if we create 3 chances a game, 2 of which are in the first half from Charlie Devlin, and nobody else is creating any chances, you're not going to win games. All it takes is one error at the back, and then that's it. So while there is time to rectify it, I don't have a lot of hope, to be honest, because it's going to come down to the split realistically. Hearts could probably easily beat us the next time we play them, and then we've got Celtic in the semi-final of the Cup, we've got Glasgow City, and then Celtic again. Unless things change quickly, I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season. And to go from being unbeaten and, we were flying, but fair enough, we were playing lesser teams. It's not really worth it if you end up at this position 2 games back to back. You basically crumbled everything that you built prior.
Yeah, there's obviously Car's talked about the split, which is obviously a while away, but our record in the kind of games against the top 6 teams,
5,
yeah, the top 5 is just not good enough. So it doesn't fill you with much hope if we're struggling against them now when it comes down to the nitty gritty in the split that we're just going to fall further behind. Things really need to change. But what do you think needs to change for us to get back on track?
We need to, I think, get back to the way we were playing last season. I said last week on the pod, we played rigidly the same formation, the same style all last season, and we're a few mistakes away from winning the treble. So rather than look to change formation every other week, we should be playing that way and actually working on cutting out the mistakes and just being more clinical. I would have thought that's exactly what we were aiming to do, bringing Katie Wilkinson in. Just add to what we were already doing and just take more chances. I'm amazed that we didn't empty the bench early in the second half. We were really poor today. We were not looking likely to score at all in the first half. Early in the second half, we should have emptied the bench, put every bit of firepower on that we had, and had a real go. But at no point today did we actually really have a goal. That's 21 points being played for against the top 5 teams, and we've won 9 points. We're never winning the league like that. And if it wasn't for Murrow holding Hearts to a draw, we'd be sitting third getting into Christmas. Hearts only 1 point behind and dropped 2 today, so we're fortunate there.
Yeah, Car, that's very bleak, isn't it? When you think how well we've done last season, almost won a treble, pretty much it was taken the last day, and then this season we've started off really strong and then just absolutely fell off. A few draws, which we were kind of similar last season, a few draws, but these last couple of games are just really destroyed the kind of hopes going into this kind of break.
Yeah, I usually like Alan's stats, but that's one that I could have done without because that's absolutely criminal. I didn't realise it was that bad because I just look at results and, yeah, they're not good enough, but I didn't realise that it was quite so bleak as that. That's horrendous. That's baffled me. I don't understand that. But why have we changed it? It's the thing that gets me. Why would you go and play a snarl when we've got such good wingers that can play out wide? That's the thing that it comes down to. And Jo needs to figure that out if she wants to keep her job, essentially, because that's what it's going to come down to, isn't it? Jay's away. What else is going to change? You're going to look at the manager to change next. It's fine. He's fine. Just my cat knocking everything over. But that will be the next thing it'll be looked at. Will be Jo, and then we're in the cycle again. You've got to try and find a manager that can fix things. But the players have a part to play in it. But you're asking Jodie to play as a right back. Fair enough, it worked against Dundee United and what have you, but it's not going to work against the bigger teams. So why not put Ailey on or play Raf? Or we have so many other options that we brought in specifically for those areas. Why don't we use them instead of just sticking with Jodie? You could have changed a lot of things, but I don't know. I don't know if Jo's just given up. It's probably the wrong words to use, but she's not shouting and screaming as much. Fair enough, she had a bit of a go at the fourth official today because there was a few calls that weren't great, but she just seems a bit apathetic, to be honest, and it's her doing. She could change it and fix it, but she's not.
I think she did take a little bit of responsibility in her post-match today, Alan, which was nice. But I think you kind of have to, as a manager. She's kind of mentioned that she was tinkering about the things, but is it going to be too little, too late?
No, as Carl said it, I think earlier, there's plenty of time to fix it. This isn't us falling apart and blowing up in a run-in. This is us, really stinking it up in the middle of the season with plenty of opportunity to fix it. We've obviously seen how much Hearts and Hibs have improved, so there is a far greater chance that they can take points off the other Glasgow teams as well, but we need to fix this and we need to fix it fast. There's obviously something not right in the group and people need to get their heads together and do something. They need to pull each other through. I think fans are stuck with this group of players. League title losses in the last games of the season, but I think if this core group throw away another title, then people won't be so supportive.
Car, do you think we've got too many players now that there's like Ailey's on the bench, Megan's not even in the squad again, Liv was nowhere to be seen. Obviously played last week, so maybe she was injured or getting rested or whatever. But we've mentioned obviously the squad depth and whatever, which is fine when you've got kind of an injury crisis, but when everybody's fit, kind of probably leaves quite a lot of unhappy players.
Probably, but then Joe's still playing the same players regardless. So I don't know if she's that worried about making players unhappy when she's choosing to play, players out of position instead of playing the players that could play in that position that are sat on the bench kind of thing. But I guess it does help when you're struggling and you can bring players on, but if everybody's struggling and you bring players on, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So potentially looking at players going out on loan or even leaving in January, try and free up some space, which isn't ideal because realistically it's going to be ones that are fan favourites that everybody loves and wants to play more that don't get enough game time that probably could help us, but needs must, and hopefully they're looking at replacements, they're looking at players that could potentially bring in if that happens, but really need people at the door first, because if not, we're just going to keep adding to the squad and there's going to be far too many players. There already is too many players to play them all from the bench anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll kind of leave it there because I was already depressed and now I'm even more depressed. But we'll obviously have a couple of weeks off because it's Christmas, so obviously we wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year with hopefully some wins again in the very near future. Alan, anything to add?
No, I think talking on how big a squad is, we can't talk about how good our sort of year setup is and not give them an opportunity to sort of fill in the squad. Carrying too many players, we should be running with a smaller squad and supplementing that with young players rather than farming quite so many out on loan. Granted, some of the young players out on loan need a bit of development before we can contribute to our first team, but there are girls out on loan that could be contributing, even if it's from a bench or even if it's against the teams lower down the league. We've seen how well, particularly say Sophie Townsley's down at Hamilton, and she's dealing with physical side well. We've spoke plenty of times about Laura Berry, young Sophie Black, is a presence and could be playing in our midfield in no Motherwells. So, I'm picking 3 players out there, and there's more, and I'm not discounting what the other girls out on loan are doing, but they could be supplementing our first team instead of bringing in players who we're just bringing in to fill space in the squad and are just not getting the game time.
Yeah, it's whether Joe actually plays them though if they come back, because she seems to be kind of stuck in her ways now, but that's probably a discussion for another day. Card, anything you'd like to add?
No, just wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and hopefully we come back in January fit, firing and ready to go. Hopefully they all enjoy their break as best they can. I'm a bit annoyed at the moment, but I'm sure I'll have a good time with my family and that, and everyone else will. And if my cat would please stop screwing, that would also help, so people don't think I'm a terrible cat owner. So just wish everyone a happy Christmas and a Happy New Year when it comes.
Yep, definitely. Always, as always, we appreciate all the kind of support we get within the group and people subscribing and that. So keep doing that. Keep sharing the podcast, sharing about the group and stuff, and we'll keep going and continue into the new year. So thank you for joining me, Alan.
Thanks, Laura, and thanks for all that you're doing in the group.
Thank you very much. And thanks, Car.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Alan. I hope you both have a good time over the break.
You too. I think we need the break, to be honest.
I think so.
So, thanks again. Have a great festive period, everybody, and we'll see you in the new year.